Some of you may be wondering why is the CRDA offering a report on our community's economic well-being? After all, this is not a marketing piece. The Regional Economic Scorecard is a direct result of our effort to drive regional competitiveness through unbiased research and engage top leaders like all of you in this room, utilizing that information to move the economy forward. The Charleston region is a top 100 metropolitan area, literally number 78 out of 366 metros in our country, putting us in direct competition with countries across the United States and throughout the world today. The top 100 metros literally generate 75% of the nation's gross domestic product because they're home to the majority of the assets driving our economy. Exports, talent and human capital, research and innovation, and technology jobs, all of which we examine in the Regional Economic Scorecard that Brian and I are going to highlight this morning. To be successful, our community must align our community development, workforce development, and economic development initiatives, which is a goal of our Regional Economic Strategy Opportunity Next. The scorecard builds upon that alignment effort. It's intended to be a community resource to guide and inform discussions by local leaders regarding strategies for building a globally competitive economy now and into the future. The CRDA is not alone in producing this scorecard. This kind of stuff takes a lot of good partners. One of them is Clemson's Center for Economic Development, provided the academic lens and data collection for the information. The Metro Chambers Center for Business Research facilitated the project and analyzed the data. South Carolina Biz News, today's host, designed and published the scorecard report before you. And a 14-member task force composed of business and community leaders and chaired by Matt Sloan, president of the Daniel Island Company, offered invaluable input and ideas. And at this point, I'd like to ask Matt, I thought I saw Matt and your 14-member task force to please stand and be recognized for their leadership in driving this information to our community. You all please stand. Brian, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, David. The 2012 scorecard uses data to measure how our market is performing compared to 6 similar communities. When you benchmark, you have to have a good group of competitive communities to compare yourself to. These are all in the Southeast, and then we have 2 leading economies that we like to compare ourselves to. They're aspirational communities. Because of the time lag and data availability, this report highlights data captured before, during, and just after the Great Recession. That means the most recent data available is compared to a 2005 baseline to illustrate trends over time. It's important to note the data does not imply year-to-year changes. What are we measuring? You can see that on the pyramid slide, if you take the top piece of the pyramid and the base of the pyramid, that's where we're spending our time and energy. We're using a pyramid model of economic prosperity as the framework for gauging our region's progress over time. First, we're going to look at our region's economic outcomes that are shown at the top of the pyramid. So you can see economic output, employment, earnings, and income. Those are how are we generating wealth and how is our community doing in growing their personal income. Very, very important economic development measures. Then we'll look at the base of the pyramid at the 4 inputs at the bottom that make us competitive. How are we doing with our human capital and our talent? How are we doing with innovation activity? How are we doing with our entrepreneurial environment? And last but not least, our quality of place draws talent and allows us to grow it effectively. So we're excited about the inputs at the top and the bottom. By the way, the scorecard offers a tremendous amount of content, which I'm sure you're relieved to know that we won't go into today. If you'd like to stay after the breakfast, David and I will be here from 10 to 5 tonight covering all that data. Just kidding, we have day jobs too. But we will highlight some of the positive stories that we've learned from the important competitive measurement data and the challenges affecting our local economy. I hope you'll take time to dig into the report, think about where you can come alongside other leaders to help us increase the pace that we run as a metro area in addressing these opportunities and challenges. David, back to you.
Thanks, Brian. So first, let's look at the positive trends, our region's economic outcomes, which fortunately show our performance has improved considerably over time. From 2005 to 2010, Charleston's gross regional product grew 8%, a rate significantly higher than all peer metros, the state, and the U.S. However, as you can see, Austin and Raleigh's gross regional product grew more than twice as fast as ours. From 2005 to 2010, Charleston's regional earnings per worker grew more than 20% to more than $46,700. This is a higher growth rate than the U.S., Austin, and Raleigh, and all peer metros except Savannah. Despite this tremendous growth, Charleston's earnings still lag behind the U.S. average of $51,700 and rank fourth among peer metros. While our cost of living is very close to the U.S. average, a gap still exists between what people earn and what it costs to live here. These data points and others in the scorecard reflect an overall increase in our region's economic output. So while we still have work to do, they're a positive sign that our economic development efforts are working to drive more money into the local economy and drive more competitive, higher average wages. Now let's review the four main inputs, as Brian mentioned, that affect our region's competitiveness: the human capital, innovative activity, entrepreneurial environment, and quality of place. Progress in each of these areas can ultimately lead to economic prosperity and improved economic outcomes. The ability to produce, attract, and retain talent is critical to our region's long-term success and global competitiveness. Educated residents with specialized skills and knowledge fuel the performance of existing firms and serve to attract new employers in our target industries. The better educated our workforce, the more quickly our economy can take advantage of new opportunities and recover from negative shocks such as the recent recession that we've all gone through. From 2005 to 2010, our market's Human Capital Index had the most significant positive change among peer metros and leading communities, as demonstrated by the green shading you see on the top of this chart. And remember, the left part of this green is the base year of 2005. So this is showing on an indexed basis how we've moved forward. This positive performance was due primarily to the growth in the percentage of adults with college degrees. As you all remember reading several months ago in the Wall Street Journal, was that where we saw it reported? Wonderful. However, the Charleston region has experienced virtually no growth in the percentage of adults graduating high school. So still a lot of opportunities for improvement. This chart highlights Charleston's growing base of knowledge workers from 2005 to 2011. While we increased the percentage of population employed in science, technology, engineering, and math-related fields, we still remain below the national average for overall jobs in all of these technical fields. Now, Brian will talk about what we as a community can do to build on this workforce pipeline. Brian?
Thank you, David. One of the things we need to get ready to do as we roll up our sleeves and look at this opportunity as a region is to think about two factors with regard to this. Not only is an educated and a skilled workforce an issue for companies considering locating to our region, it's the #1 issue for every business person in this room today. Talent is the fuel that you put into your business to be more competitive and productive. Research shows that those communities that are going to be successful going forward must be able to do 3 things effectively: develop, attract, and retain talent. That's the first thing that each of you require for your business growth, and the type of companies that we're targeting also require. We see there are 3 critical areas that our region must address in order to successfully continue our move forward. We must invest in education at every level, from pre-K to postgraduate, and we must not only invest in education, we need to transform the education outcomes in our community and expand the capacity of our schools. Education funding must be looked at in the light of it being an investment in our current and future prosperity, not a cost. The communities that are excelling, when you look at Austin and Raleigh and others in that higher level of communities that we aspire to be, have a very clear-cut approach to investing in education. They make it a #1 state and community priority. We have to have the same game plan in mind in the years ahead. We must expand the graduate and postgraduate degree offerings in our area in engineering and computer software and IT fields. Employers in our market today are scrambling to fill these jobs, and many of them are going unfulfilled. So it's a great opportunity for us to both attract and retain in these critical fields. And one of the things that people working in those fields are looking for is advancing their degree knowledge with a postgraduate degree. So it's very important that we do well in that critical area. Lastly, we must develop a regional strategy to graduate more young people from high school and attract and retain young professionals to our market. Those 2 work hand in glove. When you bring a talented young professional into the community that has children, those families, the first thing they're going to look at is the quality and caliber of the schools that their children are going to. So attracting and retaining that talent will, in a great way, be dependent on the quality and caliber of our schools. Thankfully, these 2 pieces are well underway with the implementation of career academies in our high schools starting in 2013 and the community handprint project that our chamber will be releasing in January that shows our strengths and weaknesses from the eyes of the age cohort of 20 to 40-year-olds. This is the first generation in American history that when they graduate from college, they're picking where they live before they choose where they go to work. We're going to be looking at 7 indices that demonstrate our ability to both attract, retain, and grow lifelong talent in our community. So we're excited to share that information. It's going to lead to a 10-year community blueprint for talent in our area. So 3 important things we have to do with our talent pipeline.
Good, thanks, Brian.